Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Renew Show. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so just want to kind of get right into this topic because I'm hoping that you guys have a lot of your ideas, a lot of your tools and everything because I told you to bring them. So I'm hoping that there's going to be the comments just flowing in about all the stuff you use. So before we get started, like we always do, we'll introduce ourselves from west to east. So we're starting with Sarah.
I always go first. I need to move. Anyways, I am Sarah from the Smiling Lose Fat team, and apparently I live the most west than anybody else in this show.
Okay, Brooke.
I'm Brooke, crazy running mom. That's all.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's Sherry Ann, Jazzwife KNS.
All right, and I'm Khalif, Fat Guy, Skinny Wallet. In the description box, not right now, but at the end of the show will be links to all of our channels. Hopefully you'll follow us and you like us. So what we wanted to talk about today was just logging and tracking food, the different things that we do, what's worked, what hasn't, some of the tools, whether it be apps, websites, pen and paper, whatever your methods are for seeing what you eat and how you eat and making sure that you're staying on the right track, whether it be tied to a program or you're just eating, just food in general. So I guess we should start with the most popular one and just ask, does everybody, I know the answer, but does everybody here use MyFitnessPal, which seems to be dominating?
Yes.
When I feel like it. Yeah. Not very often. I have an account.
Well, I'm actually connected with a couple. I'm only connected with 10 people on there, and I have a couple of them who haven't logged in 6 or 7 months. Well, one of them was Sarah Harrison, and she just had a baby, so at least she has an excuse.
Yeah, whatever.
Fucking child.
Just a kid.
Yeah, right?
I'm totally kidding.
Okay, so Brooke, why do you only use it sometimes?
Because I don't like it. I don't know. I don't like it. I always want to like it because everybody else does it, and people say, oh, it works so well. You just track your food and you'll lose weight. Calories in, calories out. But there's something about it that when I am tracking my food in that manner, it makes me more obsessive, it makes me more crazy, it makes me think about food even more. It really has an opposite effect for me. So there might be a temporary period of success, but ultimately I end up worse than I was before. I was doing good on MyFitnessPal for a couple weeks, and now I'm worse than before I started it. So.
Do you track your calories still, or?
Not right now. I mean, I'm always doing something. I'm always doing something, but right now, no. I'm not doing anything right
now. Okay, so we have somebody, at least Kat gets her sexy back. She said she uses MyFitnessPal. So, I mean, I actually didn't at first. I used something else called Lose It, which is just another app. There are so many apps. I actually went to the Play Store and put in calories, and there are so many apps that you can get, all of them with 4 or 4.5 star ratings that just help you track your food and track your calories. So if people don't like MyFitnessPal, there's apparently a lot of other things. But when I used Lose It, I liked it, but the database wasn't as big because I guess they just weren't as big as MyFitnessPal. It wasn't as popular. One thing I don't like about MyFitnessPal, and anybody can tell me if you found the same thing, is that people make a lot of mistakes. People will log something, and Pete, Sleeve Rocker, he just pointed out to me the other day, I was lazy one day or wasn't around my package of flaxseed, and I knew how much I put in but didn't have the package to scan, so I just searched for ground flaxseed because it all should be the same. It's not like it's something you're cooking. It's ground flaxseed. And I put it in, and the numbers made no sense, but I never double-checked. And then he said, I've been trying to find a flaxseed that is as good as yours, and I can't, so I don't think yours is this. And, of course, I looked at mine, and mine was 30 calories more than what I had been going. So maybe that's why I'm so fat, is because those extra 30 calories every day.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the flaxseed.
Add up.
I can unmute my mic.
So have you guys experienced that at all when you've been using it?
Yes. I think the annoying thing for me is when people putting something and they only care about the calories. They don't care about the rest of the macros. So they'll put in entries and they'll just say 100 calories, but then they'll have like no protein, no fiber, you know, like the other things that I'm trying to look at, and I won't have any information. So that I think that's actually one of the biggest things I don't like about MyFitnessPal is that it's hard to find something that's really accurate, you know, based on other people's entries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I'm one of those people, I just care about calories right now, but whenever I enter something, I make sure I enter everything. So people who are looking at other stuff, you know, they can get that. One thing that I have learned to do is when you're looking up something, find one that has the most confirmations that it's the correct thing. And if you can get the USDA one, go with that because that's supposed to be correct. But I've gotten that, like, I was doing a recipe the other day and it had chocolate chips in it, and like it was like a half a cup of Nestle chocolate chips, and somebody had it that it was only 30 calories, and I'm like, dude, I'd be eating chocolate chips all the time if that was right. But it had confirmations too, so it's good to double check, and if you're in doubt, just enter your own stuff, and then you can use it all the time.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, yeah, same thing. I have that problem too, seeing someone just says calories. I guess with me, unless it's like a fast food restaurant and I'm not home, I'll try to enter them in myself. I mean, with most of the things, you just take a picture of the package, you know, with not just MyFitnessPal, but I know Lose It and a few other ones. But Rob, actually, he left a comment that I can't see it on the screen, but I can see it in my email, that he said that he used Lose It and liked it a lot, but then they changed it to a scaled down version, and you have to pay like $49 a year for the full version.
Oh, wow.
So I guess they took some of the features away and made you pay for
man.
it. Yeah, instead of just putting ads in it, you know, that I think would have been better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You get ads on MyFitnessPal, and it's not even like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, so, I don't know. I think, you know, it is one bad thing when you depend on those types of apps and things because you're kind of dependent on other people.
Yeah. Yeah, usually what I do, like when I'm making a recipe, as I'm in there cooking, I have just a pencil and paper, and I'm writing down the amount, and then reading the package and writing down how many calories is in it, and then figuring it out per serving. And then when I enter it online, I double check and make sure that info is the same info that I got. So it's time consuming, but if you want to be accurate, it's just something you have to do.
I guess the only thing that, I mean, this can't be helped because we all depend on packaging. It's just that the packaging information a lot of times is inaccurate.
Yeah.
You know? Especially, like, you know, 1 tablespoon is a serving, and it'll be like 1 tablespoon is 28 grams. But then if you weigh that tablespoon, you're getting more than 28 grams. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really judge sometimes based on what the back of the package even says. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we sometimes did this. We actually had some in there. But I made a video on Instagram about it. The rice, I think it's Uncle Ben's, like 90-second rice. And it tells you the little pouch is 2 servings. But when you weigh it out, it's like 1.3 servings. Like, you don't even get 1.5. So it's like barely over 1 sometimes when you actually weigh it. Sometimes you get up to 1.5. And you're saying, like, oh, I'm telling MyFitnessPal I'm having 350 calories and I'm only having, you know, 180.
Dude, no wonder you're hungry afterwards.
Yeah. But then the flaxseed just comes and, you know.
That's it. Flaxseed.
Can't win.
And Khalid is very serious about getting all his calories in. Like, he wants what he's earned.
Yes. I feel like.
Don't you think so? That, like, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well,
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I look at it like money. Like I feel like I'm getting charged for 400 calories, and if something falls off my plate, or if I weigh it and it's not right, or if Sherry Ann decides to take a bite, then I'm not having 400 calories, and I don't want to be charged for 400 calories.
It's your fault, Sherry Ann.
So, sorry, Brooke. Go ahead.
It just, I mean, don't you think it's kind of like crazy? I mean, it just seems like it's, you obsess about, oh, I want to eat this, and then you just start obsessing about, like, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous to me, like worrying about a gram of this or a gram of that, and you know, it's just like the opposite problem. I don't know. At least that's how I feel when I do it. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like measuring stupid little. I don't know. It just seems crazy. Like you don't see thin people on MyFitnessPal. If like most people on MyFitnessPal have problems with food, are overweight, are constantly gaining, regaining. You know, there's probably very few people that are just like, oh yeah, I track my food to stay healthy.
Mm.
You know, they just are. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I maybe I'm just cynical about it right now, but I really question how much those programs really help you. And I know for some people they do, but I feel like it's such a small minority of people.
I think one thing, you know, I follow a lot of powerlifters and bodybuilders, and I know that they worship MyFitnessPal, and you know, so I think people who are trying to be active and who are worried about their body, they do, but you're right. The average person who you meet who's just thin and plays tennis on the weekend or runs a couple days a week and is not competitive, they don't care. They just kind of do things.
Or just people who are trying to lose weight, like people who are trying to cut weight. It's different to me because they don't. It's a totally different like brain mechanism of cutting weight. Like if people who are overweight and trying to lose weight, how many people are successful using MyFitnessPal, which is supposed to be it's not a diet, it's calories in, calories out, but yet I don't know, I just don't think it works for people who are trying to lose weight and who are just like average weight loss people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like everything else, you know, with that you have to work on the mind first. I mean, it's like Weight Watchers, weight loss surgery, anything else. It's like it's a tool to help, and if you don't have the right mindset, and you know, it's like you can be on MyFitnessPal and then have a binge, and just don't get, you know, and it's like it's not the method that failed you, it's the fact that you just decided to stop doing what you know worked. Mm-hmm. So I look at it like that, like a lot of people who will go off for a few weeks or a month, and then they come back and say, yeah, I've kind of like dismissed everything fitness related, and I've gained 20 pounds in this month, and it's like, well, you didn't gain it because you were counting calories. You gained it because you stopped doing everything, and you know, I look at it like that. Like it won't work unless you know, are fix the other mental things that are going on. You know, it's just another tool. So
right.
You can get to the point where you're like, I don't want to say worshiping it, but you can get to the point where you depend on that so much and you never fix the bigger problem. You know, rather than weighing out a grain of salt, you know, you should. You like wonder why you can't see yourself driving down certain streets because all the fast food signs lure you in. Like that's a bigger problem than, you know, weighing a little thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For me, like I do count my calories and use MyFitnessPal. I think it just helps to keep me accountable. Now, you know, I do have days where I don't log because I just need to have a day where I don't have to log, and I don't want to have to log calories for the rest of my life. Right. You know, it's just I'm trying to get to that spot where I don't have to do it anymore, and I'm not really sure how you get to that spot. You know, I don't know. It's like I'm learning it as I go. So, but like you said, Brooke, there are some people that, you know, have had like great success with it, but you know the majority of people do lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. So you know, I don't know, but I don't want to be 70 years old counting out my calories. You know, like I don't want that. But I don't know. But then you have like Pete from Sleeve Rocker. You know, he did it, and I mean he did have weight loss surgery, but he did, and he's always preaching the gospel of MyFitnessPal. You know,
he's like the king. Like they
Yes,
need
he
to
is,
pay him.
whenever I enter stuff on MyFitnessPal, I'm like, oh, Pete's gonna see that I ate that. You know, it's like I feel guilty because Pete's gonna see it. But yeah, so I think it is a personal. You know, it's different for everybody, and I think it's a good tool to help people to see what they're putting into their body, but they shouldn't rely on that alone. You know, like Khalif said, you have to do other changes and change your mindset and your relationship with food, and I think a lot of us have trouble with that.
Yeah, I think that's such a big thing. I was thinking about that today, actually, about other things, but how we just replace one obsession with another a lot of the times. You know what I mean? And I think that, I don't know, somehow that's how we pacify ourselves, is, you know, like, I don't want to obsess over this, and I'm going to just focus all on this, and, you know, like, that just relieves something else, but none of it really helps. And I can see what Brooke is saying, that mentally it's not a good thing if you're just pouring your whole life and your worth and, you know what I mean, all this weight on MyFitnessPal. It doesn't make sense in that way. But, you know, if you use it for the tool that it should be, of course it can be helpful.
Yeah.
But, you know, like we're all saying, like, it depends on where your mind is, you know?
Yeah.
So we have a few people who, you know, said they have Zen says she uses it. Lori has hope. She says she has a MyFitnessPal account, but she really doesn't like it, so she doesn't use it. And she says she was agreeing with Brooke with that. Michael VSG says he has a love-hate relationship with MyFitnessPal. I think, you know, you see that a lot. And so we have a few more comments that are coming in. And Kat Gets Her Sexy Back says she started out on Lose It as well, then she heard about MyFitnessPal from other YouTubers. And that's exactly what it was for me. Other people, you know, were using it, and I just said, oh, wow, you know, this thing seems great, and it seems like everyone's on it, so let me try to use it. And Brooke, you have a lot of people who agree with you about not liking, especially MyFitnessPal, but I'm assuming they mean all of the tracking things, but they're specifically saying MyFitnessPal, so you're definitely
I feel like I'm hungrier when I'm tracking. Like, I eat my food, and I know how many calories I had for breakfast. And then I'm like, okay, well, then I have a snack coming, and I have this many calories for my snack. Okay, I'm waiting. I don't know. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it totally can be. I can see that.
Yeah, I've totally felt that, especially, like, and you have to be careful with MyFitnessPal. When you enter your stuff in, they will give you the suggested amount of calories you should eat a day for the amount of weight you want to lose. And a lot of times it's really way off. Like, they had me saying I should eat no more than 1,200 calories a day, and that just does not happen because I need food and more food than 1,200 calories a day. So you have to be really, you know, you need to do other research and not just rely on them telling you how much you should be eating. But I totally am with you there, Brooke, because, like, sometimes I'll find myself during the day being like, okay, I have this many calories left. That means I can have this cup of hot cocoa, or, you know, and it's like, I do have a constant battle. Yeah, but like I said, it's like I don't know how to not be that way. You know, I don't know how else to do it. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I sound stupid right now, but
No, I don't. That's the thing. Like, I think on the other side of it, some things that I know people have gone through is they try to estimate in their head how much of something they'll have, and they'll be totally off. So it's like without some guidance, they're having like 1,000 more calories than they thought. You know, it's like, I only had a cup of rice. It was really 3.5 cups, but to you, in your mind, it was a cup. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, I can see the other side of it where some kind of structure is needed because it's so easy to, you know, to go crazy.
I've seen that. I mean, I've seen people on YouTube show you their food, and you look at it and you see what they say. Oh, I eat, you know, 1,200 calories a day, and I'm like, yo, that one meal is like 1,500. I can just look at it and see. And you're saying you eat 1,200 a day, and then you're complaining every week about weighing in and not losing any weight. So that's when I say you have to track your food if you're not losing weight and you're like, I'm doing everything right. and you realize most likely you're not doing everything right. You're not the 1 in 2,000 case that is going to do everything right and not lose for over a sustained period of time. Like, you're probably not doing everything. How would you know?
Right.
How would you know if you're not tracking? You're just guessing. I mean, we guess. That's like me going out and running and saying, I probably burn about 1,000 calories. Like, where am I getting that number from? I just pulled it out of thin air.
Right.
So I think, we have to, at least they give us much better estimates. And if you're struggling, or if you hit like a wall or a plateau, I think you owe it to yourself to track for a few weeks, maybe even a month. Especially for women, I think you should track for a month at least with that eating the same way. Especially because with menstrual cycles, your weight will fluctuate. So you want to at least account for that. So, I mean, I would tell anyone, if you're struggling, do it. But if you're not, and whatever you're doing is working and you're losing the weight, then stick with what you're doing. Like, don't force yourself.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't fix something that isn't broken. But if you are struggling, you're on a plateau, then it's like, hey, maybe you should try this, because it could be that you're eating a lot more than you think you are.
Agreed.
So, like, what are there any other suggestions that we could give people if they don't want to track? Like, if they don't want to do it like MyFitnessPal, like, what are some other things that could be useful in how we eat our food?
It's hard. You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, if you're struggling, suck it up and track. But I do think certain things, like looking at things that are very high calorie, that don't give us a lot of nutrients or don't really satisfy us much. So obviously drinks. And I think most people in the weight loss community, that's one of the first things you try to do is don't drink your calories. And you hear that all the time, but it's so true. That's not going to fill you up. So anything like that, even looking at condiments, especially fat-based condiments like salad dressings and mayonnaise and those things. I mean, those things don't do anything to fill us up, and they add a lot of calories to what we're eating. So it's like cutting those things out. You don't even have to you don't have to count calories, and you could cut out maybe 500 calories a day if you don't have the soda with the full calories and don't have the juices, and you cut those things out for a month, and cut out some of the condiments that are higher calorie and replace them with other things. Instead of having ketchup, maybe use a salsa or something like that. I mean, just trying to think of little things like that to do if you don't have the burden of counting calories.
Yeah, another thing that I know was popular, especially, I think you mentioned it in your video for this, with the weight loss surgery meetup that we went to, is using a smaller plate. I mean, in that case, their plate had different sections for what you should eat. But I know a lot of people do that. They'll just say, okay, I'm going to fill up this smaller plate and this is my meal. At least that's a way to, to maybe limit yourself if you have trouble just eating a lot of food. Another option that people take.
I think that's a really, easy, I don't know, I think it's sometimes, at least for me, I can speak for myself, I tend to complicate it and make it into something that it's not. It's food. It's like what we need to live, and you want to have a good relationship with it. And for me, whenever I quantify it, it always turns into a very bad relationship. But yeah, looking at a plate and seeing oh, this is the food I'm about to eat. That looks so good. I love food, and I know that it's portioned out in a reasonable way. I don't have that all right, how much do you cost kind of mentality. I don't know. I think that's a really cute, simple, easy way to look at it. Maybe that's what I should be doing. Let's do something else. You can do that now.
And not obsess over it. Just, just tools. Just tools we can use.
Now, I'm going to read a couple more of the comments. They're still on what we were talking about before. Malia, who is Rexy Mumu, I hate trying to say your name. He said, I liked MyFitnessPal when I used it. I read the packages, so I knew about what they needed to read when I added it. So that's something, even thinking about estimating it before you actually put the numbers in. And then Rob says, I think logging can be an amazing tool, but I also agree with Brooke. You have to be careful not to trade your addiction for food to an addiction to obsessing about other parts of the journey. Because if you get to go and have so many other mental obsessions, how happy are you truly in that new healthy body? And Tink says, did anyone ever have problems with MyFitnessPal and the numbers thing? It always seemed like I was obsessed with the numbers and calories, and it got to a point where I was totally messed up and not enjoying life when I was counting. So I mean, that's for me, with the way that my mind works and what I enjoy, it's like a puzzle for me. So so I would say I didn't have that, and Brooke is coming back on, so I'll...
Sorry about that.
No, we... actually, Tink asked, and actually I'll let you answer that. He says, did anyone ever have problems with MyFitnessPal and the numbers thing? It always seemed like I was obsessed with the numbers and calories, and it got to a point where I was totally messed up and not enjoying life when I was counting.
Me? Am I just like agreeing with that? Like totally.
Yeah, and I know you said it here, and we've talked about that,
Totally.
several times before, like what it does.
And for you, it makes you feel like in control, like you have something planned. Like it makes you feel comforted and like I'm doing this and this is working for me. For me, it's like the complete opposite.
It's for me, it's like a confirmation. I know that I can say I did everything I could eating wise. If I can track my food for a month and I can look back, or if I had a bad week, I can look back and say, where did I mess up? Because I mean, honestly, one thing I watch videos, people say, I had Chinese food on Thursday, and that must be it. That must be why I had a 3-pound gain. Because that sodium just stayed in my body for 5 days or so. Like, we'll just make things up. I had an extra banana for lunch, and man, now I'm 4 pounds heavy. Like, we'll just do that, and it's like, okay, seriously? Like,
I had flaxseed.
Yeah, or flaxseed eating. So, I mean, it's something like that where you want to be able to say, I know what I'm putting in my body. Like, it's not a restriction. It's just a way to measure, and that's how I look at it. I don't look at it like I'm restricted. Or maybe 2 days ago, I went over whatever I set my calories to be because I was hungry and I didn't have any more calories, and I said I'm going to find something small to eat because I'm hungry. I didn't say MyFitnessPal says I'm done. I just said, okay, but I'm going to track it just so I know that, hey, you went over and here's how much protein you had for the day, just so I know. So I don't look at it like it's my boss or something restricting me. I just look at it as it's giving me information. And it can't give me information unless I put information into it. So that's kind of how I look at it, is when I'm evaluating how I'm doing, it's another tool that I can use to say this I'm doing it right or I've messed up.
Right. I've experienced, what Tink has said too is, I've logged and then I have not gone out to eat somewhere. Like if my parents wanted to take us out, I'd be like, no, I can't go because I was worried I'd get over my calories. And if I go over my calories, then I'm not going to get a loss this week. So I have, been there and obsessed, and it has made me, feel miserable, and I'm doing better at that now. I'm saying, hey, if I want to eat that apple cider and cinnamon donut, then I'm going to have that. It's okay for me to have that, I don't need to eat a dozen donuts and have a gallon of apple cider. Difference. But, yeah, I agree with Tink, and I know I've watched some of his videos, and, he's talked about it a little bit before about how that has happened. But, yeah, I've had that happen. It's just, yeah, I just don't know.
And Tina said, I agree that tracking can be a great tool. I think for me and my sustained weight loss is my relationship with food. It can be so obsessive for me to track every little thing. And then Brooke, she says, you guys are on the same page and she loves you.
Love you too, Tina. I know she doesn't track either. I knew that.
And Gina versus
Love
Gina.
you, Tina.
She said, my problem with estimating is I usually cheat myself thinking I'm having a serving and realizing later it was much less. Now I try to always weigh and measure because, like Khalif, I want all my calories. So I mean, yeah, that is. I guess it's just hard when you have to estimate and you can cut it out. I'll show you guys another kind of tool. See, we just talked about being obsessive, and people are going to see this and say, "Okay, you're really obsessive now." And Brooke, I don't think I showed this to you when we were out there, but it's okay. So it's a scale. It's a portable food scale. Nice little pouch that it comes in. But yeah, you can weigh your food on it. It fits in your pocket, and I think it goes up to 600 grams. So you have to carry that with you, and then if you think you need to calibrate it, you have to have a 500 gram weight in order to calibrate it for different settings. But after saying that, no, I'm not. It's still not obsessive. I actually saw the Bodybuilding Bros, Harry and Frank, using one. I didn't know they made them. I saw those guys use it. They are obsessive. But they're powerlifters and bodybuilders. So when you get to the point where you're trying to get down to 3 or 4% body fat for a man, you have to be obsessive about what you eat. Like every gram of something can matter. But for us, we can estimate. We can be 200, 300 calories off and hopefully still be losing weight. Mm-hmm. Now, I think we need to focus on the whole idea of the calorie deficit isn't just restrict yourself from food. Work out. Go for a walk. Do these things. You want to eat more, work out more, and you'll be able to eat more. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's not just, hey, stop eating. It's really just want to know what you're doing. If you're burning 3,000 calories in a day, you don't want to have 5,000 and then say, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. So that's what it is for me. But yeah, this is one of the tools. Got it from Amazon. Cool. Let's try to see if we have anything. Kat gets her sexy back. She said that she uses it to look back as well. She doesn't obsess. One thing that she does, which is I do sometimes, go by the weekly calories versus the daily calories. So that she's not obsessing and feeling so restricted, and she can have high and low days.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I think that's a really good insight to it.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about that, but I've never done that, and I think it actually might be a really good thing for me to try. You know, because there are days when, you know, my plans are different, and I'm going somewhere, and I'm going to be at my parents', and, you know, so that might be a really good idea.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I think it's like we all have to know that we're individuals, and you know, everything is not going to work for everybody. Like we know the basic premise, but still, things are going to be different.
Right.
I think one of the reasons that I like tracking, which I really hate, but I mean I know it's better for me to do it, is especially health-wise. I like looking back and making a note of how certain foods make me feel, because that's just really important for me. And I just wonder if anyone else does that. But you know, it's like, okay, how did I feel after eating this? You know, how did I feel after eating that? Because it, you know, it can and does change depending on what you're eating. So It's a good way to keep a record of that as well.
Yeah, I've never actually like looked back on the food that I logged and wondered how it made me felt, but like I know that after I eat something that isn't the best, or I eat too much of something, you know, like when I have a stressful day and I end up binging or something, I remember how I feel after that. So, you know, I do, and I often think to myself, it's like, man, this is how I used to eat every day, you know, so at least it's just binges once in a while now instead of every day, right? It's progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the, you know, kind of what we were talking about before, and I know, you know, Brooke and I have talked about this, like, offline, that, you know, if you're still dealing with binges and things like that, then, you know, tracking minute details of your food is not the biggest priority. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I do, you know, that's when Brooke was saying that, you know, you see people who are trying to lose weight, like it's almost a career for us trying to lose weight. Like, you know, we need to do more than just that. You know, most of the people I see who use MyFitnessPal and they show you, I mean, these weightlifters, these powerlifters, they do so many day of eating
Mhm.
videos, especially when it's their cheat day or their bulking or whatever they call it, and he says day of eating, and they'll show you, and they always show you MyFitnessPal, and they're the type who will sit and say, I have 300 calories left, I have 18 grams of fat I still need to get in, I have 45 grams of carbs I need to get in, and 18 grams of protein. Okay, so I'm going to have this, mix it with this, and then have this on the side. And people accuse me of this. It'll be the most gross looking thing, but the whole meal contains everything they need to meet their macronutrient minimum for the day.
You are the king of ugly food.
Yeah, you are.
It's not that bad.
No, it is.
Right?
It's pretty bad. I've heard the complaints. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, you have.
Turn the flash off. That's always my. You leave the flash on. Anyone who photographs their food for Instagram, turn the flash off. It just highlights everything wrong with your food.
I took your advice. I did. I stopped using the flash, and I put my food in places that have better light.
There you go.
They have looked better, honestly.
I'm trying. Okay, so Pete is weighing in. I think he came in a little late, so I don't know if he heard all the things we were saying about him.
Good things, Pete. Good.
He said, I think tracking is a great tool, especially for those who like the occasional treat, if they use it right. For example, maybe you go out and eat and have a high-calorie meal. Well, if you can make a meal to eat at another time or a few times that is low-calorie to balance it out, use it to plan your weekly as well as your daily for a better balance in life. And I think that's a great thing as well. Like if I know, hey, Friday we're going to Moe's, and I know that's already going to be a 1,300-calorie dinner, at Moe's, then I know I'm only going to have 800 calories to play with all my meals beforehand. So I plan like that. I don't just eat the normal breakfast and the normal lunch and the normal snacks and then get to dinner and then have 1,300 calories. Like if I know what I eat, I can track and say, okay, I've had 800 calories, so I can eat this right here and not feel guilty at all and not worry about anything and know I'm not sabotaging myself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, Brooke, since you don't track, are there any tips or tricks or anything that you use on a day-to-day to make sure that you eat well?
Well, I don't think I've really been, super successful. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself someone who's, successful. I mean, because, I get frustrated and I want something that's quicker, and then I jump over to something that's calorie restriction, calorie counting. I just feel like when my mood is best and when I feel best and when I feel fulfilled, I make better food choices. If I'm stressed, if I'm feeling not mentally healthy, if I'm tired, if I'm just not feeling with it, then I start making the binging and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I mean, I know for a lot of people watching this, it has so much more to do. No, calories in, calories out. I know it's calories in, calories out. But I eat really well. I mean, I wake up, I have my oatmeal, I have a salad, cook at home, and I know what nutrition is, and I eat good food. It's that 1% of the time where I consume thousands of calories in a short amount of time that just kills me. And I want to make, I think, if I patch up the rest of it, yeah, it'll all be good. It'll all be good. Like Khalif was saying, that's the problem. So I'm really trying hard to mentally feel better and like I don't have to cover up things with food because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard. Very, very hard. So maybe in like 6 months or something I could be like, let me tell you. But right now, it's just like overwhelming. It's just such I mean, I know a lot of people understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's very hard.
I know that's one of my hardest things is, you know, a lot of times I don't feel well. So when I don't feel well, it's hard to, you know, to do the things I would normally do. Like it's hard for me to cook. You know, we like to to plan our meals for the week, that gets thrown out the window, you know. So don't let me not feel well, and then Khalif comes home and he's tired. We're going to go get something to eat. You know, it's just easier to pick something up than to be here and have to cook or try to plan. Or, you know, like you said, all those things go out the window so much for me. So I totally get it. The only difference right now is that I track the bad stuff, but it's still like, you know, like that doesn't change the problems, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think I've ever tracked a really bad day, ever.
Oh, I have.
Like a real bad one. Like one for the books. Like
I haven't either. I mean, Brooke, you know, you and I have the same thing. I think the same. You know, somebody, my brother-in-law, is staying with us for a while, and he always talks about the way that we eat and how healthy it is. And he's like, "Wow, I'm learning so much about you guys, about nutrition and all this." And I'm just saying, you know, in general, I think most people, except for a few like far-out hippies, would say that I eat extremely well. But it's that, like you said, the 1% of the time where I just lose my mind and will consume a week's worth of calories in 2 or 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That can really derail 3 or 4 weeks of eating well, and that can really reverse everything right then. And you know, so in those cases, it's like, yeah, I've never gone and really tracked that. I said when I was watching the forum last week that I think I've had probably between 25 and 30,000 calories on my worst day. You know, 25 and 30,000, just depending on, you know, trying to put together, a whole pizza, you know, these 4 different things from Wendy's, going to the chicken shack and getting a bunch of stuff, and then eating the chocolate and all that in one day, you know, and but so, you know, it's like those things. I've never tracked that to see, but you know, I know exactly what you're saying with that. But, you know, it's just funny, the people who don't have eating problems, to see them use food trackers is just such a beautiful thing. And I'm saying, why can't that be me? You know, why can't I fix this thing?
That 1%.
Yeah, I just get rid of that 1%, and that's what I have to work on, because I would be at my goal by now. I wouldn't be sitting here saying, wow, I'm the heaviest I've been since I started YouTube. I'll be able to say, wow, I'm at my goal. And I feel like that you know, everything that I've learned, I can now put into practice and helping others. I've learned it, and I apply it most of the time. And it's when I don't, that's when I go off. So, yeah, it's hard saying that and then trying to be so strict with the food tracking and planning. But I know that's the right thing. And if I could do that 100% of the time, I would easily lose weight like no problem. You know, last month I made myself lose about 14.5 pounds in 5 days, you know, because I just had to do it for a challenge, and I did it, you know. So it's like if I'm on, and all of us, if we're on for, you know, a few months or whatever, then a lot of us would lose a lot of weight quickly and safely. Man, sorry, I'm going on a rant because it's so frustrating. It just hit a sore point. Like, yeah, why can't I do this?
It's that teeny tiny moment, those little itty bitty moments where, you know, that thing gets in your ear and you just, for whatever reason, you can't fight it. You're right, I would just rather not deal with what's going on. That sounds way better. And it's a snap decision. And it's not even just for that hour or two. It can just leak over into days.
That's the thing. It's hard to recover from it.
And
stuck there.
Oh, it's terrible. And it's not about nutrition. It's not about, I eat steel cutouts, or I eat the, you know, organic blue frozen, you know, superfood blueberry mix. It has nothing to do with it. I don't know what it has to do with, but like whatever that step is, where I always say, I'm going to pray before that happens. I'm going to pray before that happens. But I can't even pray before that happens. That's how quick it happens.
Yeah. I think one thing that we said, I think, you know, one time we were talking to each other, is that a lot of times you don't want to be stopped. Like, you don't want the help. Like, you know, I mean, we've said to each other, like, oh, reach out, you know, before this happens, or other people say it, or whatever it is. And it's like, you know, I think if I walk into there and tell Sherry Ann how I'm feeling, then I won't be able to eat this way because she's going to talk me out of it, or she's going to hold me accountable. So,
And then you're going to have to feel something. No!
Yeah.
No! It's terrible. It's a terrible thing.
Rob has the question, and it starts off already scaring me. So he says, deal with the devil. You have two choices.
Oh, no.
You can wake up tomorrow at your goal weight and live at goal for 3 years. But after that, you go back to your original weight plus 25. Ooh. Or you can keep on your current journey and receive $2,500 to spend on your weight loss journey as you wish, not knowing if you will ever get to goal.
I gotta take option number 2.
Yeah, why?
I just feel like the first option in the end would just be so deflating. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'll bounce back from that. Like having a couple years being happy and then end up where I started in 25 pounds heavier. Like, that would be like so hard to recover from for me. I don't know if I can do that. I don't think I can. I'd rather tough it out now than deal with that later.
Yeah. I'm with you, Sherry Ann. I would take option 2. I mean, that would, man, I'd be so, yeah, I couldn't do that going back to my original weight plus 25. It's like, no way. I'd rather just stick it out now and, hey, $2,500, so,
yeah.
You know, like,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked number 2 too, but if number 1 was more like 10 years, even then it'd be hard. But if my health was guaranteed, you know, like I want to see my grandchildren and all that stuff. But wouldn't it be fun to strut around for the rest of my 30s? But I'd still pick number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to pick number 2. My biggest thing is I can see how I'm going to spend that money. You know, I would find a real powerlifting gym. You know, I would do some other things to really, really try to take advantage. It would be so tough to like go to sleep at the end of year 3 at my goal weight and size, and then wake up the next day looking like this.
It's like an episode of The Twilight Zone or something.
Yes.
Yeah. They know what's coming and.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Oh man, yeah.
So that was a good one. So Tina, she's gonna make me read a lot, I see. She says, I am in a muscle building, fat burning program, and I agree that weighing food is important, especially getting ready for competition. I hope you're gonna do the competition, Tina. Okay. Sorry, I just had to say that because she was talking about postponing it. I just think those of us with food addictions, we need to be careful and make sure our relationship with food is in a good place. I'm around a lot of powerlifters, male and females, and the ones that I've gotten to know do not have food addiction, so tracking and manipulating macros, etc. is okay. For me, I have to be careful as I have a food addiction, and I need to keep the balance. So, I think that is something that we consider here, in talking about it. I say this all the time, like the actual act, like the physics behind weight loss are very easy unless you have some type of rare medical condition. It's easy. It's the mental part.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mental part that throws us off, and that's what we're trying to figure out. I mean, if it was just the physical part, if it was just measuring calories, make sure you burn more, then we wouldn't be on YouTube. Like, we wouldn't have social media dedicated to it. We wouldn't come up with catchy names that talk about, these. We wouldn't do any of this stuff because we would, it would just be so easy. Like, okay, for the next 6 months, this is how many calories I'll eat every single day, and this is the exercise I'll do, and I'll be at my goal. Or the next year, 2 years, whatever long it takes. But it's more than that, And actually, Stacy, who's going to be our guest next week, she actually says it does sound so simple. Eat these calories and exercise and you'll lose weight. But there's so much more to it for a lot of us, and that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brooke, one thing I did want to ask you is how do you think when you did the 21-day fix, how do you think that went for you? Like, can you explain to everybody what it is and than, especially with the way you had to measure your food?
Well, it's different containers that are different colors, and they correspond to different food groups, carbs, proteins, fruit, vegetables, fats, that kind of thing. And depending on how much you weigh, then you get a certain number of the containers a day. So a certain amount of protein containers, a certain amount of carb containers, etc. So you don't have to count calories. You just have to fill the right foods that are on the list in the containers and eat them. So it's really, really simple. So if you're somebody who really doesn't want to do number stuff, if you just want to grab your food and go, then it's a great program for you. It worked well for me in the sense that it is a 50% carb or 40% carb program. So for somebody like me that runs a lot, that's low carb to me. So I did kick out a lot of water, and I lost a lot of weight in those 3 weeks. I think I lost like 15 or 17 pounds, which obviously isn't all weight. When I did it the second time, I started giving myself a lot more allowances and, eating pizza and saying, oh, I'm going to count that as a yellow container. And, I was kind of starting to veer away from the program, but I still lost weight. For somebody like me, I think the 21-day fix is great, and I keep thinking whenever I'm not doing well and I want to lose weight quickly, I always think I'm going to do the 21-day fix. It's always like my fallback. I'm going to do the 21-day fix because I know I can do it and I know I'll lose weight. But for somebody like me who has a really just hard time with food, I think after the 21-day fix is over, there's sort of like an aftershock, and there's sort of like a rebound effect. And at least that's how it worked for me. After I lost it, I was like, okay, well, where's this and where's that? I don't know. I'm so sensitive to stuff like that. I really, really am. Very sensitive.
Okay. So, I mean, it just you talking about it like that, it almost reminds me, without the precision of Weight Watchers, where you're based on your weight and, you're able to eat a certain amount, but at least this one has you group it. And I know Weight Watchers does that to some extent as well. At least, but they translate. They
limit the food a lot more than Weight Watchers. Like, you can't eat dark meat. Like, there's certain proteins you can eat, and certain fats you can eat, and certain. But yeah, it's similar in that it takes away the calories, and it kind of makes it a little bit more fun, a little more. I don't know, points and all this stuff. Yeah, similar.
Okay. I mean, that's it's funny. Everybody that I'm watching, reading these comments from Rob's question said they would pick number 2. So yeah, I guess nobody wants that. I think the first day of the 4th year is what everybody's dreading. So Matthew Smelling asks, when you started tracking your weight, okay, I don't know what this word is.
Fella.
Oh, he's fella. Okay. Was there any foods in particular that has surprised you as to how many calories or too few they had?
Well, everything surprised me when I first.
Thought apples would be more. Oranges. That's true.
For me, it was probably pizza. Just how few, especially if you don't get extra cheese, how few calories pizza has, and everybody just condemns it. Like, pizza is probably the poster child for unhealthy eating, for bad foods. They have like a soda and some pizza. Like, that's what everyone says. But it's actually one of the more healthier foods, and it's something you can easily manipulate to get in a lot of nutrient for the amount of calories you're taking in. So that was mine.
I think for me, dense baked goods in general, I didn't realize they were so calorie laden. Like a bagel. Like, I had no idea. Like, why is this bagel 500 calories? Like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And especially my weakness, which is cake. Like, I didn't realize cake was just so calorie laden. It's just one small piece of cake. Yeah, that didn't make me happy.
Peanut butter, and nuts in general, that made me sad. Um, I was in the If It Fits Your Macros group on Facebook, and someone posted a small bag of peanuts, and they were really depressed because it was over 1,000 calories for the small bag, and people were like, "Yeah, what'd you expect? They're nuts." Like everybody was saying, like, "Duh, of course there's that many." But nuts are one of the things that's supposed to be very healthy, and you grab a handful, and the handful is a couple hundred calories. But we don't even think we just had a couple nuts, and that's something that shocked me is how many calories. So that, and of course peanut butter, coming off of that.
Healthy fats. They're healthy fats.
I hate that term. Actually, I think I hate healthy carbs more than healthy fats. Or carbs, bad carbs. I hate that distinction more. But yeah, that's one of the things. And actually, Kate Gets Her Sexy Back said it was pizza as well. She says, I was surprised at how few calories pizza had per slice and how many Olive Garden foods had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory.
I did that for Red Lobster one time, and Cheesecake Factory is the worst.
Yes.
I've
Was
never
Red
been.
Lobster good because of the seafood? Or no?
No.
All the butter and stuff?
It was all bad.
Just like one of those Cheddar Bay biscuits is like 150 calories or something.
Forget it.
Probably, I think it was more than that. Yeah, it was sad.
So good.
But they're worth it.
Yes. Those Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Actually, I just showed Khalif that I saw they sell them in the store now in the frozen section. Like, you can buy them. I'm like, oh gosh, we're all in trouble.
Sorry, I actually have my MyFitnessPal thing for the day up on one of my screens. I actually have some room for Cheddar Bay biscuits in my macro.
Okay, wow.
Just
Focus.
saying. Okay, so I'm just making sure because we only have a few more minutes left that I get to all the comments. So talking about the $2,500, Kat Gets Her Sexy Back said Khalif would buy more food scales.
That's so funny.
And Gina said I'd pick option 2 because without the journey I wouldn't learn what works and what doesn't work for me. Also, the journey has helped me to understand that I'm the only one holding myself back from reaching any goals. This journey is largely mental, which can make it stressful. However, working through the mental will help me find success. So, I think that's a really...
That is good.
Wow, that's better than what I said. And Pete says, I hate that you guys are struggling with your weight or eating habits right now. I feel that I've learned so many valuable things from all of you, and you all have reinforced parts of my weight loss journey. We just need to merge you all together, and then you'll lose weight. Ugly food eating, running, food filling, treat moderating, weight loss monster.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Stacy is thanking me for sticking up for pizza.
Matthew will thank you for that as well.
I know I'm going to say your name wrong. I never get to hear you say it. But it's Laeva's mom, I think is how to say it. She said peanut butter hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we see there are a few, things there. But, I think overall we can say nuts, peanut butter, a lot of things that's supposed to be healthy. Pete says, after not eating fruit for a few months, I was surprised how low in calories stuff like strawberries are. You can eat a lot of strawberries for 100 calories. Surprisingly high calorie iced cappuccinos from Tim Hortons, they're like 500 calories for a medium.
Yeah, they are.
That's crazy.
And
Bananas are
we've got a
pretty high
question that didn't pop up yet. Okay, from Zen. And this probably is our last question. She said, why do you think it is so hard to stay into a new routine and not keep wanting to revert back to old self-defeating ways?
I think there are lots. A basic one is just we like what we find comfortable, We like our comforts, and it's easy to go back to what we know and are comfortable with.
Yep.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. It's when that's the only way you know how to cope, and then you let that go, the second that something comes along that's even a small challenge, you don't know how to cope anymore, and then you go back to what you know. So learning how to cope with those challenges, even if they're just something really small and silly, is really hard to do at the same point as rejecting the old ways you used to cope. So it's very, very challenging. Very challenging.
Yeah, I agree. It's a comfort thing. It's just and it's easier to go back than to challenge yourself and be bothered with trying to find a new way to cope with something and a new way with dealing with stuff. So
So you guys are cool because I mean, I don't want to say use the word excuse, but I mean you have a reason. You have something. You know, you turn to food to cope. Me, I'm just greedy and don't have the like, seriously, I don't eat because I'm emotionally stressed. I don't eat because I'm worried. I don't eat because I'm sad. I don't eat, to celebrate. Like, I eat because I love the taste of food so much. And sometimes I don't have the discipline to say you should turn away from that because it's not going to get you to where you need to go. And like for me, it's at a lower level. Like it should be so easy for me because I don't have those things where like I dealt with grief, and every time I'm reminded of that grief, I turn to food. Like I don't have that story. I'm just like greedy and don't have discipline. Like it's
That's how it feels to me too. Like I'm not reliving like old tragedies and stuff, but like just simple like I'm stuck in traffic. Like today I had to go downtown, I had to park my car, I had to do all this stuff. I didn't know where I was on campus, it was stressful. And on my way home driving, because I have the thought, you know what, just go through a drive-through, order a ton of food and eat it. Like it's like so automatic. I think sometimes you lose touch with what those emotions are because you're so used to just plowing through them with food. I don't know. Maybe examine why you are so greedy. Maybe there's something to it.
I don't know. It didn't start until I was an adult. Well, maybe it started earlier, but I was so athletic and so, involved in sports and stuff through high school that I didn't even notice it. I don't know. I gained 15 pounds in the summer between high school and college. And I worked at Boston Market, and that's actually where it started. I became overweight that summer when I first stopped being active and worked at a fast food restaurant closing. So I was able to take home all the food that was going to be thrown out. Yeah.
Okay, let me say this really fast. Guys, he would tell me how he would take meatloaf and eat them between 2 pieces of cornbread like every night.
That sounds so good.
It was 1 piece of cornbread that was cut in half.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Their cornbread is like
piece that
nice
was
and
cut in
sweet
half.
too.
Yes, very sweet. Oh man.
never been there.
Well, they're closed now, so I don't have to worry.
There's one by my house.
Oh, we should have went. All right. We're out of time now, but I just want to thank you three, of course, and also want to thank everybody out there who asked questions and who left comments and just made the show a lot of fun. This was what I was hoping. We didn't just talk about the mechanics of tracking food, but we talked about some of the dangers and also some of the things that can hold us back. I'm still going to challenge everybody. If you're stuck, track for a month. If you're a woman, track for 2 menstrual cycles, and and see what you're eating and how. Track everything, weigh it, and be as accurate as possible. Then you can go back and say, you know what, I did that. I had 1,600 calories a day, and I still didn't move. And if that happens, go see an endocrinologist or something. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Does anybody have anything else to say before we close? No? Okay. All right. See you guys next week. Our guest is going to be Stacy Comfer. Her channel is C Flat Top. She has been leaving comments on this video, so just scroll down, click on her name, go subscribe to her, check her out. I also have a link to her channel, and I'll be posting a video throughout the week to remind you. And that's it. Thanks for a great show, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.